the area of the tri-oval at the start-finish line. The cars seem to lift there, and they literally float through there at over 190 miles per hour. And the 31-degree banks, if you followed racing at all, you know their history well.
Well, again, the wind caused problems in qualifying earlier on this week, and it's a fairly strong wind today. And these cars have all got different size spoilers, which NASCAR are experimenting with just a little bit. And so a lot of people are going to be trying these out for the first time today in a full-scale draft situation.
35 cars will now start. There has been one retiree. Ronnie Sanders of Fayetteville, Georgia, did not come out. Cars headed back into that tri-oval there out of turn number 4. And here is your starting grid. Ricky Rudd, for the 3rd time in his career, on the pole, this time for the Daytona 500. He must start this race, does not have to finish it, and he still has the front row. Joe Rutland, who finished 3rd a year ago in the 500, is 2nd. Then comes Darrell Waltrip, still looking for his first Daytona 500-mile victory, and Kyle Petty has qualified very well. Coming to row number 3, it's Bill Elliott, who had some sensational second-place finishes in his Ford last year. Beside him is Benny Parsons' younger brother, Phil Parsons. Then in row 4, the incredible A.J. Foyt, who played such an instrumental part in that victory in the 24 Hours of Daytona just a couple of weeks back. And beside him, Buddy Baker, who ran the fastest 500-mile race in history on this track in 1980. Going to row number 5, it's Dale Earnhardt, and he has beside him the Silver Fox, winner of 105 Grand National races, David Pearson. Moving to row 6, Harry Gant, the Bandit, who won 2 Grand National races last year, and from Sanford, North Carolina, one of the great veterans, J.D. McDuffie. In row number 7, it's Tommy Gale of McKeesport, Pennsylvania. And number 4, Connie Saylor. Remember 2 years ago in one of these 125-mile races, floated upside down 300 feet down the back straightaway. Sanders, a DNS, as we mentioned. Then comes Joe Boer in row 8. Moving along into row number 9, it's Buddy Arrington, one of the only Chryslers, an Imperial no less, out there. Starting on the inside, Ron Bouchard, who won the Talladega race on CBS a couple of years back, starts on the outside of that row. Row 10 is Del McCowart and Dave Marcus. Watch out for Marcus. He won at Richmond, Virginia a year ago. Row 11, the ARCA 200 winner this past Sunday, Farrell Harris of Pikeville, Kentucky, and Phil Duffy. Row 12 is Ralph Jones and Ronnie Thomas, a former Grand National Rookie of the Year. Row 13 is Clark Dwyer and Steve Moore. Then Elliott Forbes Robinson, the Trans Am Sports Car Champion, is on the inside of row 14 with David Simcoe flanking him. Moving to row 15, James Hilton. So many years out here trying. He's actually finished 3rd in a Daytona 500. Mike Potter is beside him. Row 16 is Dean Roper. And from Minnesota comes Blackie Wengeren. Going to row 17, Bruce Jacoby, a name well remembered for a lot of years in open cockpit competition. Giacomo Giacomo beside him. Then comes Dick Skillen. And from Quebec City, Laurent Rioux. Down on pit road, here's a report from Ned Jarrett.
Ken, the track might be dry, but it's a different situation on pit road here, and a lot of the crew members are a little concerned about the dampness on pit road because of the rain that we've had earlier here today, so they've cautioned all of their people and their drivers to be very careful when the cars come into the pits, because these tires that they use are not treaded tires like we would see on the highway, so they don't adhere to wet pavement very well. So they've cautioned all of the members up and down pit road here to be very careful when they come into the pit.
We're getting ready for green. These pace laps have been taken at a very leisurely 97.4 miles per hour. The record they're going against in the 125-mile races, 1970. The race record has stood against 25 challenges. Cale Yarborough has the record. He set it with the Wood Brothers, number 21, at 183 miles per hour. Pace car is coming down, dives onto pit road, and as it ducks in there to the safety of pit road, the field is ready for the first 125-mile race. Joe Casamano drops the green flag on the Uno 125-mile qualifier number 1. And here comes the avalanche spilling down into the first turn. As they break, Joe Ruttman is on the outside. Remember, he placed 3rd here a year ago. He's carrying the same number, number 98, with which his brother won the Indianapolis 500 back in 1952. And Ruttman right up against the wall as they go to 190 miles per hour. 3 wide, down the inside, Darrell Waltrip makes his move. Waltrip going out in front. Elliott going to 2nd, and Buddy Baker. Buddy Baker with a new team this year. The Wood Brothers goes into 3rd spot.
And Elliott's right behind him, and Darrell Waltrip's making a brave start in this race. He's the only 4-time winner of these qualifying heats in a fairly short career, relatively speaking. And he's got a good lock on the lead at the moment. Field streaming out behind the stand in single file.
Winner of 12 Grand National races last year. Darrell Waltrip, the national champion, defending champion, goes back into the first turn. Right on the rear bumper as the speed goes all the way to the top. The tack banging away on the red mark. Goes out of turn number 2. Rutland is right there with him with a very stout car prepared by Buddy Parrott. And the surprise, look at that Ford. Had real trouble qualifying. 5 miles an hour off the pace, but in the draft, Buddy Baker sticks right in there. That's Bill Elliott in number 9, running in second. There's Ron Bouchard fighting his way up through.
Well, Ron Bouchard's really one of those guys that could be on the bubble here. He qualified 18th. He's got to get in that top 14 to make the 500, but I'm sure he will be able to. Those front 3 cars, with Buddy Baker, the number 21 car there, is just make a bit of a break.
One car going down early in the event.
Car number 54.
Now here's an interesting situation. The Chevrolet Monte Carlo, the SS, runs up in front, but there are 2 Fords running in the 2nd and 3rd position. Bill Elliott, Dawsonville, Georgia, young driver. His 2 brothers, his crew on that car. They've done a magnificent job with it. They hang right in there, and now you see, pulling back to 4th, right on the rear bumper, number 98, Rutland. Coming around to complete lap number 3 of 50. On the point, Darrell Waltrip leading. Back to the line they come. 2nd spot belongs to Elliott. 3rd is Baker. 4th is Rutland. Going 5th is Kyle Petty with A.J. Foyt in that red car right behind Kyle Petty, running to stop it. Now Baker is down the inside. Baker crowding low, making a move. Getting around, he'll go up to 2nd, and moving to 3rd is Rutland. Elliott drops to 4th.
These 4 guys will be anxious to see to stay in line astern on that to give themselves the best drafting possibility of pulling away from the rest of the field. But A.J. Foyt going down the inside there.
Car number 54, Simcoe, retires. First retiree from the actual race. 1 car was a DNS. A.J. Foyt has taken over in 5th. Foyt carrying his Indianapolis car number 14 for the Daytona 500 this year. In front.
And Foyt is bringing with him Dale Earnhardt in another Ford who had such a strong race here last week.
Rushing along out of turn number 2. You're now watching them off the 31-degree west bank of the Daytona International Speedway. Back stretch. And the bat of an eye. They're down that back straightaway headed for turn number 3. And Buddy Baker goes down in front. Joe Rutland goes to 2nd place, falling to 3rd, and here comes A.J. Foyt on the inside. Foyt is pulling up. He goes into 4th as he runs wheel to wheel with Bill Elliott on the outside. Out turn 4, back to the tri-oval to complete lap number 5.
Now Foyt's really got to be looking for a spot to get back in there. Otherwise he could get left behind as they all stream by on the outside.
He'll find a hole.
He's got to find one somewhere because he suddenly dropped from 4th back to where is he now, 9th.
A.J. was right beside Bobby Allison in practice the other day when a car in front of Allison blew an engine and destroyed Allison's 2nd car. Bobby Allison working his 3rd car. Look at this, 3 abreast on the back straightaway with Waltrip on the low side. Rutland going to lead, but Waltrip takes it back, and here comes Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt into 2nd. Rutland back to 3rd. Holding 4th, Buddy Baker. Scampering around those high banks as they nudge and push, driving these cars for every bit they can get on this first 125-mile qualifier. We now have a 12-car freight train for the lead into turn number 1. And a bad crash coming out of turn 2. 1 car has somersaulted several times and been destroyed on the back straightaway. I believe it's 2. Car number 05. Going side over side and end over end several times. Bruce Jacoby has badly crashed in the back straightaway. You can see the remains of the car flung all through there. Bruce came down here without a ride and talked to us for some time about working with our CBS crew for this race, and then picked up a ride just 2 days ago.
Well, that looks a pretty horrifying crash. I don't think I've ever seen a NASCAR car look in such bad shape. And that was coming off that turn 2, which is the corner that we were looking for a bit of trouble from because of the wind. And it certainly seems to have caught Bruce Jacoby, number 05, there out.
see, he was not, of course, running with the leaders. He was well back in the field. Car destroyed. I must tell you that I have seen Bruce in another accident similar to this, as bad, at Charlotte, North Carolina. He went end over end about 9 times several years ago, was badly injured, and at that time retired, but he has wanted to come back, got an opportunity here, and at the last moment had an opportunity to get in this race. There's Stevie Waltrip, who is scoring her husband, has heard the word that there has been a bad crash, but this time it does not affect her. The twin 125-mile qualifying race number 1 is under caution in lap number 8 at the Daytona International Speedway. With the field completing 12 laps now under caution from a bad crash by Bruce Jacoby. Let's go to the pits and a report from Ned Jarrett.
Ken, we're standing by at the track hospital. Bruce Jacoby has been taken to the track hospital here for observation. We expect them to be transferring him to the Halifax hospital here in just a few moments. That's the word that we have here for further observation. Now let's go to pit road with Larry Newber.
Ned Bruce Jacoby is one of the drivers that a lot of fans like to be around and like to see. Some may say that Bruce Jacoby over the years has been one of the guys who has filled out the field, but he's always been very loyal and very dedicated to the sport of automobile racing. He was involved in the transition a few years back in IndyCar racing when they went from the front engine to the rear engine cars. He's tried for quite a number of years to qualify for the Indianapolis 500-mile race up north, but never succeeded. His first love in recent years has been down here in the south running stock cars, but he has always kept his ties to the north. He's very closely aligned with the Potter family back home in Indianapolis, where the 3 Potter boys, or all 3 brothers, run actively on the USAC midget division. But Bruce Jacoby has been trying very, very desperately to get into the Daytona 500 field for the last 3 or 4 seasons.
The remains of car number 05, which was running 31st at the time of the incident, coming out of turn number 2. It has rained here day after day in Daytona. It would appear that maybe something just happened coming off. The car got caught in that mud off turn number 2. And
well, this is the problem. When it's been raining this heavily, the infield is absolutely saturated at the moment. I've never seen it as wet as it is. And, of course, you've only just got to get a wheel in that at that sort of speed, and over she goes. There's no question it's going to happen. 3 years ago, we saw a Cale Yarber spin there and get on the mud when it was also very wet, but he was extremely lucky. The car didn't roll, but he slid for hundreds and hundreds of feet, throwing up spray and mud. But unfortunately, Bruce Jacoby wasn't quite so lucky.
The All-American Holmes Pontiac by Bruce Jacoby in this race from Indianapolis, Indiana, destroyed here in the early going. Coming by to complete 13 laps, to complete 14 laps, 36 remaining. Field coming down to take green. Resumption of the twin 125-mile qualifying race number 1. They call it 500. 14 positions available. Caution brought out by a terrible crash by Bruce Jacoby. Going back into the first turn, it is Darrell Waltrip on the point. In the second position, it is car number 15, Dale Earnhardt. And riding third is Joe Rutland. Then you see a 15-car length interval back to the 4th place car, Buddy Baker. Kyle Petty is right there, running next in the 5th position. Then Bill Elliott in the 6th. Running 7th is A.J. Foyt. Going 8th is Ricky Rudd, who sat on the pole. And 9th at the present time is David Pearson with 10th Juan Bouchard. Out of turn 4 and back to the line they come another time. Leader is Waltrip. Into the 4th position goes Kyle Petty as he moves around Buddy Baker. Kyle Petty with a whole new look on his car this year, carrying number 7, not the familiar Petty numbers of 42 or 41, 43. Number 7, the number with a complete new team. Kyle Petty running forward.
Although those front 3 cars were making a bit of a break for it, but Kyle and Buddy Baker have closed right up on him as they go into turn 3.
And Bill Elliott is back in 6th position, knocking on the door. There are the leaders. Out of turn 4, off the 31-degree banking, 1,600-foot straight away to the tri-oval. This is, by many people's consideration, the fastest part of the track, over 200 miles per hour right here, inches apart. In the 7th position, Ricky Rudd and A.J. Foyt is in 8th. Now Foyt drops the inside of the red automobile, and he picks up a spot.
Ricky Rudd getting awfully close to the wall as they came off the tri-oval. It's very high there as they go through 1 and 2. A.J. Foyt alongside him, again getting left out of the draft. Right behind A.J. is Ron Bouchard.
And here's Bouchard back on the outside, and dropping back to 9th goes A.J. as Bouchard shot around the outside. Ron Bouchard at number 47 from Pittsburgh, Massachusetts, making his presence felt now among the leaders in this first 125-mile qualifying race. Back on the point, Waltrip in front. He's never won the Daytona 500. Remember in '79 when he finished second to Richard Petty in that incredible finish? Well, he wants to change it all. 112 races. This is the one track where he hasn't won the big one.
He keeps winning these qualifying races, but he can't win the 500, which is obviously the one he really wants to win badly.
51 Grand National races have been won by Darrell Waltrip. He is the big breakthrough in Grand National racing. Here he is in front. Right behind him comes the man who was Rookie of the Year one year and then won the national championship the next, Dale Earnhardt. That's Darrell Waltrip, your leader. And he's been out in front right from the very beginning.
Smiling Darrell Waltrip there, but I bet his face isn't setting that same smile quite at the moment.
0.7 of a second separate the first 11 cars. Past the stands, they will be packed come Sunday for the 25th annual $1 million Daytona 500. Trouble. Del McCowart's car is down on the inside. There's a couple more, and caution is coming out. Field racing back to the line. They are down at turns 1 and 2. And everybody is lifting. No one's taking any chances. You can see them coming off the throttle a bit and holding it as they come around. Those crew chiefs on their radios to their drivers. We've got big problems up ahead. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Ken, we're still standing by at the track hospital. As you can see, they're moving Bruce Jacoby now to put him in the ambulance to take him to the local Halifax hospital. His wife, Yana, just came in a few moments ago to be with him, so they'll be transporting him over there for further observation.
Del McCowart of Savannah, Georgia, in a Buick automobile, and Mike Potter of Johnson City, Tennessee, in an Oldsmobile, involved in that collision in turn number 3, which brought out the second caution of the race. We are now working the 22nd lap. That means we've completed 55 miles in the first of the twin 125-mile qualifiers at the Daytona International Speedway. After 21 laps, a wholesale change of positions. You see some of the cars that are running up in front now and trying to stay in it. Preparing for the restart. Second restart in the twin 125-mile qualifying race number 1 for the Daytona 500. And single file down into the east banking they go with Buddy Baker on the point. Ricky Rudd, the man who will sit on the pole Sunday, qualifying at over 198 miles per hour there in second. Remember that Cale Yarborough actually turned a lap at 200 miles an hour, but in his second lap of qualifying destroyed the car right here where these cars are running now. And since he had to re-qualify in a new car, that old mark could not stand. So it will be with an asterisk. That record will go in the book. Well, here they come, braking as they get the green flag from Harold Kinder, and what an assault on the flyover.
Well, we're getting down to the wire on this race. There's only another 30-odd laps to go. And as we've already stressed, this is a very, very important race because you've absolutely got to finish in the top 14 to guarantee yourself a spot in the 500.
Key player A.J. Foyt picked up about 4 automobiles. A.J. is on the bottom side, and he is flogging that car on a turn number 2.
But again, if he's not careful going down that very fast back chute, he's going to get left out by that row of cars up by the wall. There we see Dale Earnhardt right behind pole sitter Ricky Rudd as they go through turns 3 and 4.
Car number 73, Moore, is smoking. He'll be retiring from the event. Can't wait for that young man. He's made a couple of stabs here before. Steve Moore. Field comes rolling down to complete. 25. They are completing lap 24. One more lap to the halfway point. One more lap to the halfway. Ricky Rudd out in front. He is sponsored by an airline. Right now he is flying. That car number 3. Another car smoking and slowing down. Connie Saylor in trouble.
Connie Saylor nearly had a lot of people in trouble there. He slowed down dramatically and pushed a lot of people high going through turns 1 and 2, but everybody got by all right.
Former Grand National Rookie of the Year out in front, and there may be a consultation flag coming out. There you see the apparatus by which they tell them on a light as well as the black flag they are to come in here at the racetrack. Back to the line another time comes Ricky Rudd of Chesapeake, Virginia in the Richard Childress car. Halfway on the field. Halfway being indicated in the field. Dale Earnhardt, who had such a great year back in 1980. Then it all fell apart on him. 1979 Rookie of the Year. He's right there beating on the door in the Bud Moore car number 15. Ricky Rudd, the baby-faced kid with the iron foot, stays up in front. Car number 66, Phil Parsons, on pit road, brother of Benny Parsons, in his first Grand National race. Brings his car in, say sayonara to his chances here unless he has a very fast time. Back straight away as we watch the moments on Phil Parsons' car. It is Ricky Rudd leading. Second spot. A.J. Foyt has moved to third. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Ken, we're still standing by the hospital. The report is, we did report that they had taken Bruce Jacoby to the local hospital. One of his crew members came by and said that, of course, he was breathing, that he was unconscious, but they're taking him for further observation, and his wife, Jana, has gone with him to the Halifax hospital.
Thank you, Ned. Front-running position is Ricky Rudd. Second is Dale Earnhardt, and then the giant, A.J. Foyt, lies third in the field. Buddy Baker is in fourth. Sensationally fast laps. 2 cautions. Here comes Earnhardt into first at turn 3. A.J. Foyt comes up into second spot.
And they all take Buddy Baker through with him into third spot, putting Ricky Rudd back into fourth spot. Just shows how quickly the positions can change in these tremendously high-speed races around the oval here.
Back to the tri-oval. Earnhardt in first. Here's Foyt nosing down the inside. Crowd on their feet, as well they should be. Here they are, side by side, back to the first turn. And Super Tex takes the lead in the 125. A.J. goes in front. Earnhardt is in second. Darrell Waltrip lying third. Buddy Baker is in fourth. Kyle Petty running a tremendous fifth. Then comes Joe Ruttman in sixth. The last time that A.J. Foyt won a 125-mile qualifier here at Daytona was in his Buick 1978. No chance of a record of this one that Cale Yarborough set in 1970 with 2 cautions. That record of 183 is still another challenge. By cautions. Talk about excitement. Look at that field going back to turn number 1. You'd think this race was worth $100,000 to win.
Well, of course, in a way it is, because if you don't do well in this one, you don't even get in the big one.
There's Harry Gant in the 33 car on the tail end of that draft, running in 11th position. Right beside him is David Pearson. Back with the leaders. Foyt first. Earnhardt second. Darrell Waltrip third. Buddy Baker fourth. Kyle Petty driving that 5th spot. Then Ruttman is in 6th. Ricky Rudd is in 7th. On the back end of the lead draft, Harry Gant in the bandit continues to watch them.
Well, Harry Gant is another of those guys who's going to finish well up in this race with his qualifying speed of 192 miles an hour. This might not, or certainly wouldn't guarantee him a spot in this race, so he's going to finish in the top 14.
Gant is being shown 9th overall. I want to make a correction. I said 11th. He is 9th overall. It is a 9-car draft on the back straightaway.
He can stay in that position. He's in pretty good shape. There's old A.J. himself, Dale Earnhardt. Darrell Waltrip coming down the inside as they go into 3. Buddy Baker high, Darrell low, and behind Darrell Waltrip there, number 099, that's Bill Elliott in his Ford.
A.J. Foyt is that car number 14 to Cale Yarborough to drive in the Clash, the race among the 16 pole cars of a year ago. Just turned it over to A.J., or rather to Cale, after Cale's car had turned over and gone upside down, backwards into the wall at 200 miles per hour. Tremendous esprit de corps among these drivers, and now here's A.J. leading this event, looking to win it, as he did for the Wood Brothers back in 1972 Palm Sunday. The all-time legend of American motor racing has never looked better. Here he is right in front with Earnhardt in second, right on the rear. That's it. Back to that 9th and 10th place battle. Ron Bouchard,
Earnhardt really has got to do well, because his qualifying speed was only in 191 miles an hour. That certainly won't get him in the race unless he finishes in the top 14.
That battle is further back. That is the 11th place battle. The 9 and 47 are just off that first group of automobiles.
They somehow got separated after that second restart, and they'll be very lucky. Although if they really keep drafting really close together, they just might be able to drag themselves back to that 9-car draft for the lead, which A.J. Foyt is still leading.
When they come by Earnhardt. When they come by this time, 32 laps will be complete. 18 laps to go. They will have completed 80 miles. And the bubble right now is car number 89. That is Dean Roper. Dean Roper back there, and you see just in front of him, Elliott Forbes Robinson in the car from the state of Maine, number 23. Entered by the Bear brothers from Oxford Plains. Back to the leaders another time. Can Foyt stay there? Wiley gentleman from Houston, Texas. Stays out in front. You think that old A.J. is getting a little long in years and mellow. He comes out like he did in the 24 hours and puts it on everybody.
He certainly seems to have mellowed down a bit, but he sure as hell to drive a racing car still. Look at this. 55, Joe Blow coming into the pits extremely fast, nearly lost control as he got on that wet pit road. Managed to pull it off all right, though, but there's old A.J. Foyt. There we see him pulling up, but it was a bit of a hairy entrance.
10th place car in the race is Ron Bouchard. Back to 11th is following car number 9, Elliott. As you watch the leaders, last leader car going down here. Look at the Roger Hamby entry.
Pushing and jockeying for position, they don't want to get out of line because you've only got to get alongside these guys and you just immediately drop right back.
Back to Larry Newber in the pit.
Leonard Wood, Buddy Baker has been close to the front, but it looks like he has not gone for the lead. Is that intentional?
Well, like I said, he's got a gear in there that's better for draft than it is to lead. And he's just going to kind of set back in, try to feel everybody out, and actually we need a little more gear in it to lead, and I don't know how it's going to turn out when we start running to the finish.
He's doing all that watching. Are we saying he's already beginning to plan strategy for the last lap?
Oh, I'm sure he's trying to feel everybody out and see how fast each one is and to see where to try to pass each one, you know. And you do this early, you know, so it comes down to the last few laps, you know which way to go.
The big tracks, Ken, are one of Buddy's specialties. I have a feeling he may be somebody to watch, particularly the last 2 laps.
21, Baker riding fourth. Waltrip sneaks a peek at first place. Pulls back in. Number 11, Waltrip. New colors for Waltrip this year, but the same determination. 5th spot, Kyle Petty. What a run. The 3rd generation of Petty's is making his 25th anniversary. His grandfather won the first Daytona 500 in 1959. And now the newest generation of the competition. Here's Blackie Wengren's car slowing down. Minnesota driver having some problems here today. Back with the leaders. Into turn number 1. Foyt on the Foyt. Earnhardt willing to play it in second. Wait, lurking back there in third. Waltrip in the Junior Johnson prepared car.
I think everybody's pretty much prepared at the front at the moment to just keep the status quo. They don't want any more yellow flags, so they can possibly avoid it. And as long as they all finish in this position, they'll be okay. But we're going to see some action as we get down to the last lap. There's so many cars bunched so close together.
Here they come off the corner again. I talked to Junior Johnson last night. Have you ever put any pressure on Darrell Waltrip? I said, no, not as long as he wins. This is the one he has to watch. Back to the tri-oval, down into the turn 1. Foyt stays right in front, rides high, then ducks down on the 31-degree banking. Very steady line. You can see him letting that car up just a little. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Ken, Ricky Rudd, of course, has the fastest car here this week, proven by the fact that he'll be sitting on the pole for the Daytona 500, and that position is secure. That's one reason that he's content to be sitting back there running in 7th position right now. We talked to one of his crew members, asked him if there's anything wrong. He said, no, that we're just taking it easy. We don't want to tear the car up because we have our starting position for the Daytona 500.
It is a test bed for those fellows in the front row. For the rest of them, it is a matter of sheer desperation. Back to the line they come, and Kyle Petty begins to make a move under Darrell Waltrip out of the tri-oval. It's Kyle Petty on the inside, number 7. Waltrip on the outside for 3rd position. Directly in front is Foyt and Earnhardt. It's turn number 1. Foyt and Earnhardt Earnhardt trying to draw away as 11 and 7 run side by side. There's a 7-11 combination for you down the back straightaway.
A very good 7-11 combination, but look, by running side by side, how they've given A.J. Foyt and Dale Earnhardt, they've suddenly given them about a 15-car length lead. The car on the bubble in qualifying, Elliott, Forbes, Robinson on the bubble trying to put a lap or move by the number 64. Remember, he had trouble earlier, maybe a lap down. Number 78 says sayonara to the event. Slowing down, coming in Ricky Schilling's car. Back with the leaders. Going to turn number 1. Young man enjoying all the action here today. Now, because that Kyle has run side by side with Waltrip, the 2 leaders have drawn away. What a break for A.J. Foyt and for Dale Earnhardt. That's what they wanted to have happen, and they get this break. There's always a danger in this sort of racing to stay around too long alongside someone. It's such a temptation to race them. But if you can't get by on the first slingshot, for goodness sake, try and get back behind them again. Otherwise, it can leave you all behind. Lap number 38. Average speed in that lap, 191.5 miles per hour. Still, Foyt stays in front. A.J. Foyt's number 14 started 7th. A Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Then comes that Ford in second place, and it's the grand old battle between Ford and General Motors. There's Buddy Baker going low into turns 1 and 2. Trying to get round down a Waltrip, and he succeeded, too. Baker back to 3rd, so you have Chevrolet 1 and 4. Ford running 2nd and 3rd in this first 125-mile qualifier. 10 cars running in the lead lap. Back to turn number 3. Earnhardt looks like he might want to take a shot at it. 10 laps to go when they come by this time. 10 to go when they come by. They're going to start some serious assessing of the situation at this stage now. With only 10 laps to go, they're really going to start filling each other out to find their weaknesses and their strengths. Back for the final 10 of the moment. Laps running down. 41 laps have been completed. 42 when they come by this time. Within 22.5 miles of home and victory lane. Who will it be? Foyt is still there. Buddy Baker looks to the inside. The Fords run side by side into turn number 1. The Chevrolet stays on the point. Waltrip nestled in 4th. Back they go through the west end of the Speedway. Let's go to Larry Newberg.
Morris Petty, one of the brothers of the Petty clan. Kyle appears to be where he wants to be. Does he have anything left?
He can run real good, but they're doing a lot of jockeying around out there. When they pull out, they get side and side. Nobody wants to pull out because they're going to lose the draft. So I'm sure that Fort's leading the race, but he'll not win the race.
A few laps to go. Kyle did almost lose the draft. He almost got behind. Was there any response from him in the car?
He said the car was running real good if he gets get out by himself.
So it's a wait-and-see posture for Kyle Petty. Meanwhile, the guy who is leading this race, A.J. Foyt, right now his pit area is being visited by Ned Jarrett.
Who has driven stock cars for many years himself very successfully, is the car builder for the car number 14. Dick, you folks are very happy here that he's been out front as long as he has been.
Well, Ned, this is the longest time we've led a stock car race for a long time, and we feel like we're getting back competitive again.
Is he going to be able to stay out there? How about that last lap?
Ned, you got about 4 guys up there, and I believe one of them is as hard-headed as the other. It's going to be a heck of a last lap.
Well, that's the way we see it from the pits here, Ken. It will be interesting.
It shakes down to 6 cars in the lead lap. Back to the start-finish line. There's Richard Petty looking on, watching his son, who is one of those 6. The Pettys have won this race 9 times. The grandfather won it the first year. Pete Hamilton won it for them in 1970. And Richard Petty, of course, the 7-time winner. There in the front 4. There's the car that they are reporting on the bubble as the Tommy Gale car. Number 64 of Ford. That's the car that we saw dragging his fuel can out of the pit area. So I thought he probably lost the lap at that stage. Our lead bunch now is down to only 6 cars. With 5 laps to go, and A.J. Foyt still leads Dale Earnhardt. Buddy Baker still in 3rd spot. 16 cars in the lead lap. In 1st is Foyt. Now to the inside, moving up. The yellow car sneaking out for 2nd and dropping back. Darrell Waltrip in the 4th position in car number 11. Riding 5th is Kyle Petty, and in the 6th position is Joe Rutland. And Rutland, one of those cars has suddenly gone right off the pace. I think it's the car of Darrell Waltrip. Darrell Waltrip's car suddenly lost steam. He's slowing down on the back straight, so that's Darrell Waltrip out of any chance of winning this race. Which leaves the front 3 cars, A.J. Foyt, Dale Earnhardt, and Buddy Baker out on their own because Darrell's sudden slowing down there really pushed Kyle Petty and Joe Rutland off the pace. There we see Darrell either rolling or at least driving very slowly down to the pit. Back to the tri-oval. They put a lap on James Hilton. That's the last one down. 46 laps have been completed. The average speed a very slow 147 miles an hour because of 2 caution periods in the event. The first of the twin 125 milers. Can A.J. stay there? He angered his fellow driver in the 24 hours. And David Hopp was there with the Bob Wolak, a French driver, German extraction. He was very upset that A.J. took over the car. Said he was concerned that A.J. couldn't drive a Porsche 935 and he couldn't drive in the rain. So A.J. went out and won the race with the fastest lap of the event in the rain. Waltrip on pit road. Let's go to Larry Newbert.
Darrell rolls in. He radioed from the track. He felt it was an ignition problem. Sometimes it's pretty difficult to tell exactly what's going on underneath the hood of these race cars that are out there at almost 200 miles per hour. But Darrell's suspicion was ignition. Of course, the crew is down in that department now. Remember, this will not ruin Darrell's chances of being in the 500-mile race.
When they come by this time, 48 laps complete, 2 laps to go. 120 miles down. It'll be a 5-mile shootout to decide it. Chevrolet runs in front. A.J. Foyt. Dick Hutchins is the crew chief. In the 2nd spot is Dale Earnhardt. Bud Moore, the crew chief. And then in the 3rd spot, Buddy Baker, who loves to go fast. The Wood brothers, the operators of that machine. Here they come. Down another time. 2 lap indicators given by Harold Kinder.
And Kyle Petty and Joe Rutland have really pulled back up into that leading trio. I thought the leading trio might have got themselves a bit of a gap there, but it wasn't to be. Kyle Petty is going extremely well today, and out of the pit pulls Darrell Waltrip, in fact. Now down just 2 laps. But as I said, it doesn't really matter to him because he qualified at 196 miles an hour, so he's going to be a shoo-in for the race in any event. But it does mean he'll have to start further down the pack.
Indeed he will. He'll be way out in the back of the field in Sunday's Daytona 500. Earnhardt looking down the inside.
Kyle Petty having a go at Buddy Baker there on the inside as they come round turn 4. Lap traffic, just coming up on some lap traffic.
Lap car directly in front of them. They squeeze through.
That's Tommy Gale, I think, in that.
White flag, 1 lap to go. Tommy Gale overlaps back into turn number 1, and now is the time for the maneuver. Kyle Petty, the first to move, down to the inside in turn number 1. Kyle Petty drives inside of Buddy Baker. Baker on the high side, Kyle Petty dropping back. Does Foyt have enough? Can he stay there? He had no time to practice, no time to really get the car massaged and ready for this race. A car that's almost fresh out of the box, but it has the master. Now Earnhardt makes his move going to turn 3. Baker comes with him. Earnhardt into first, Baker into second, Foyt dropping to 3rd. Around they come through 3. Foyt way high on the track. Down to the inside. Under A.J. Foyt, moving up is Kyle Petty. Here they come, pounding for the finish. And Kyle Petty leans on A.J. Foyt. Here comes Baker to the outside. Winner's going to be Earnhardt. Checkers line. And the Fords have done it. They have run slowly in qualifying, but there ain't no holding them back now, David.
There certainly isn't. That car of Dale Earnhardt has been running very strongly all week, and what a performance he put on today. Poor old A.J. Foyt, of course, leading so many laps, but you just know in the back of your mind that if you lead the penultimate lap in one of these really high-speed races, you almost sealed your fate.
Here's A.J. coming up to congratulate. Let's take a look at the photo finish.
And of course, not only do you drop them first and second, you drop them right first to whatever it was, 4th or 5th.
Let's take a look at the photo finish now. This first 125-mile race. Then he said the Fords would not be around, but take a look at this. As they drove to the line, Earnhardt beating Buddy Baker by just that much. What a christening to the redneck high holy day.
Really
and look, it looked like in the 3rd spot moved Kyle Petty. Just look at him.
I think he just probably Coat of paint, a real coat of paint.
Shaped from his grandfather back in 1959. Let's take a look at that photo for third place. How about that? Kyle Petty takes A.J. Foyt at the line.
By the width of the line about, but then he had lent on A.J. as they came out of turn 4, and there's Joe Ruttman, who sat on the front row, coming in a very close fifth spot.
Final standings in the first 125-mile qualifying race. Dale Earnhardt, son of a great racing driver, goes to victory lane with Buddy Baker second, Kyle Petty third, A.J. Foyt in fourth, and Joe Ruttman of Upland, California, finishing fifth. To victory lane in the first 125-mile Daytona qualifier in Ned Jarrett.
Well, Dale Earnhardt has pulled this 1983 Ford Thunderbird into victory lane. You can see that smile on his face as he gets his safety paraphernalia unhooked. He'll be coming out in just a moment here. It's been a while since Dale's been in victory lane in a NASCAR Winston Cup race. He won only one race in 1982, and that was at Darlington, South Carolina. And he waves to the crowd. Dale, congratulations on a super run.
Thank you, Ned. That's a pretty tough race.
Yes, it was. You had to be planning all along. You sat there on A.J.'s bumper for, what, 15 or 20 laps? You knew what you was going to do.
Well, you know, as Buddy or nobody messed me up there, I felt like I had a shot of beating A.J., but, you know, they kept running up there and looked like they wanted to draft past us and try to get by us, and I just kept sticking it to A.J. and holding on, you know. The car worked real well. Bud Moore and the crew and Wrangler and everybody did a heck of a job. Winston and Union, Champion, Goodyear, all the people that helped us out. You know, it's just a super day for us.
When you came here, you were really not that optimistic about this. He's kissing his wife here. You were really not that optimistic about this 1983 T-Bird.
Well, I wasn't when I was trying to get qualified. It just didn't want to run as fast as I thought it ought to. And, you know, after we got in the Busch race and it ran so well, I felt like, you know, we had a good shot at winning the race here. And, you know, it proved it today.
You got to feel good now going into the Daytona 500.
Well, I do. You know, starting third, you know, it's a lot better than where we were, and you know, I think if we just have a safe day Sunday and the Lord look over us like it did today, I think we'll be all right.
Hey, that's the winner, Dale Earnhardt. Now, Larry Newber has Kyle Petty, who made a tremendous run at the end.
Kyle, close. You were the first one, or so it seemed, to make your move on the last lap. Is that the way it was planned?
Well, I don't know. I was going to kind of hang around in the race and follow Darrell there at the end, and he had trouble at the end. And when he blew up, I guess, or whatever, he got us separated from the front pack. So really, that blew all strategy. We was just trying to catch back up to the lead pack. And when we went off in 3 over here on the last lap, the two Fords went together and left AJ hung out. And I seen a break to catch their draft a little bit and pull up beside him down coming off 4 here. So I figured it was worth a try to get him back to the line.
Just how close did you come to AJ in the last turn, Kyle?
I don't know. We were pretty close, though. When I got down under him, the wind caught me, and it eased me up into him, towards him a little bit. I don't know if we got into each other, but I headed that way a little bit.
Did you look at each other?
No, I was looking straight ahead. I wasn't wanting to look nowhere.
Quickly, the coach of the team for the day, Mike Bean, did the player do a good job today?
Great.
Ken, I think there are a lot of happy faces down here. This race may portend something very positive for this team for the 500 on Sunday.
Indeed, it might. And the big story here, Dale Earnhardt, who was fined $10,000 in the Busch clash for disobeying the black flag, comes out here today, and he sure paid attention to everything on the racetrack.
That's more than I learned in the whole year.
Coming up next, the second 125-mile Daytona qualifier with the all-time giant of the Daytona Speedway, the all-time giant of American stock car racing, all rolled into one name, Richard Petty. He'll be facing the two-time Daytona champion, Cale Yarborough, another two-time champion, Bobby Allison, who's had so much misfortune this week, losing 2 cars in serious bad crashes, and the man everybody's talking about who won the Clash of '83, Neil Bonnet. Stand by for the second 125-mile qualifier. Predictable, certainly a key word in describing the twin 125s at the Daytona International Speedway, and we have one more to come with names like Yarborough, Allison, and Petty, so stay tuned. This, of course, only one of many CBS Sports, USA Sports events that you can look forward to in the weeks and months ahead. We will have more racing from Daytona, and we will also continue our coverage of the PGA Tour with the first and second round of the Masters, as well as the second round of the TPC, and more events. But before you look forward to that, look forward to the Daytona 500 Sunday right from here on CBS Sports. Upcoming, the second Twin 125 from the Daytona International Speedway, and we'll get to that right after these messages coast to coast on USA. The second 125-mile qualifying race for Sunday's $1 million Daytona 500 is now on the track. And let's take a look at the starting lineup.
Remember, 14 cars will qualify from this event. Jeff Bodine is on the pole. Now, he already has secured a position. He was the second fastest pole position qualifying day. But he must start this race, and he for sure will be out here to try to work out any bugs in car number 88. Then Neil Bonnet, who won the Clash, starts right beside him. In row number 2, it's Richard Petty in number 43, and Richard Brooks is suited up again. In retirement for several years, he's back. In the third row, it is Tim Richmond of Ashland, Ohio, and Lake Speed driving the car Buddy Baker drove a year ago. He could be a real surprise. Row 4 is Rusty Wallace and Sterling Marlin. Going to row 5, Benny Parsons, who won this race back in 1975, and Jody Ridley in a brand new car. Row 6 is Mark Martin, and comes Lenny Pond on the outside of row 6. Going to row 7, Morgan Shepherd and Bosco Lowe. Then in row 8, it is Bill Scott and Cale Yarborough, who turned a lap at over 200 miles an hour and then turned over on the outside of row 8. Tom Sneva, the great IndyCar champion, starts on the inside of row 9. Terry Labonte's scheduled the next position, but Labonte's car is being pushed back. He's having trouble getting started. What a misfortune for the Billy Hagan car number 44. Going to row 10, Rick Wilson of Bartow, Florida, and Bobby Hillen Jr. out of Midland, Texas. He's only 18 years old, that Hillen. In row 11 is Ronnie Hopkins and Travis Tiller. Then in row 12, Bobby Allison. Misfortune has haunted him all week. He has destroyed 2 automobiles, working his third car. But look out for him now. Then beside him is Jim Sauter. In the 13th row, Rick Newsom and Jimmy Smut-Means out of Alabama. Row 14 is Darrell Sage and Slick Johnson. Going to the 15th row, Bobby Wolak of Villa Park, Illinois, and Rick Baldwin. In row 16 is Rondi Sanders and Joe Milliken. 17th row, Mike Kempton and Jerry Bowman. And in the 18th row, it is Alan J. West and Lowell Howell. They are saying 2 to green, 2 laps, and they will send this field away. Now, a couple of things to watch in this race. Number 1 will be Lake Speed in the car number 1. He really feels that he can make an impression in this event. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull it off. That car won one of these 125-mile races a year ago with Buddy Baker at the keyboard. Tim Richmond with a brand new team this year. He'll be driving a red and a yellow number 27, and there's an interesting story in Tim Richmond because he comes here with a brand new team. Raymond Beadle, 6-time World Drag Racing champion, the Blue Max, has turned to stock car racing, and he starts up in front. He'll be moving from the 5th position. A young man from Ashland, Ohio, who is a former Rookie of the Year at the Indianapolis 500. Of course, Richard Petty. He's had 41 races without a win. Let's go to Ned Jarrett standing by in the pits.
And we're in Terry Labonte's pits. Part of his crew is here. Most of them are up there trying to get that car number 44 cranked. They say it just simply will not start. They don't know the reason why, but they're checking everything on it to see if they can get it started before this race gets the green flag.
A major story in this race will be Richard Petty. Now, Richard Petty has gone through 41 races without a victory. The longest dry spell he had before was 45 races, and then he turned it all around and won the Daytona 500, 1979. Here's the field, another lap precautionary before they start. That 75 car on the outside is the Raymox racing team, the Warner Hodgson entry, and that's Neil Bonnet. And in the Clash, that $220,000, 50-mile, 20-lap race, this car number 75 came from the last row, from 15th position to win it in the most dramatic Clash in its 5-year history. Look out for Neil Bonnet. That is a pistol cocked and ready to fire in car number 75. Now there you see that 1,600-foot area that comes out of the tri-oval and leads to turn number 1, and it's very deceptive in there, David Hahn.
It certainly is, especially on a blustery day like today. We've had 125 miles of racing already, so there is a bit of a racing groove down. But still, these guys haven't had a lot of practice this week. The weather's been so poor, there's been so much rain, and most of them, of course, haven't had any practice in the draft yet, which, of course, is what all this NASCAR racing is about. And so we're going to see a lot of finding positions.
Still backing Terry Labonte's car up. He has a brand new crew chief this year. Dale Inman has taken over in that car. They lost the car in the Clash. It was destroyed in a 3-car shut. He was trying for the lead when Bonnet went for first place. In the last lap, he moved the Darrell Waltrip car up a bit, and there was no room for Terry Labonte on the outside, and the car was destroyed in the wall just a few days ago.
And that's one of the reasons, of course, why Dale Earnhardt got fined the $10,000, because he laid smoke and oil all over Terry Labonte, mainly windscreen.
What a story in car number 88. The man on the pole for this race, Jeff Bodine. That car was a red and white number 50 a few days ago, but Bill Stokely has come back to sponsor that car, and number 88 comes out in brand new attire for the Daytona 500 and for the entire 30-race, $8.5 million Winston Cup Series. The second Uno 125-mile qualifying race looks for green with Jeff Bodine, who started racing at 5 years of age in Chemung, New York, where his dad owned the racetrack, and he drove in those little mini cars. He's won over 500 races. Don't discount Bodine from the pole. Right beside him, one of the members of the Alabama gang, Neil Bonnet. And then in row 2, Richard Petty and Richard Brooks. Down to the line they come. And the green is on. Jumping into the lead. Car number 88. Down the back straightaway, Jeff Bodine nestles that car there as Neil Bonnet slides back a bit.
And Richard Petty jumped right up there in the second spot, and he and Jeff Bodine have already pulled out about a 6-car gap on the rest of the pack. They're all jumping position side by side, slowing themselves down.
Neil Bonnet is in third, and riding fourth is Tim Richmond, and they are 3 wide coming off that banking to come around to complete lap number 1. Bodine first, Petty second, Bonnet third, side by side for fourth. On the inside, it is Tim Richmond. On the outside is Lake Speed. Lake Speed in the Hart Ellington car. Now Richmond on the inside goes to fourth. Bobby Allison begins to make his moves. Allison is beginning to cut up through traffic in a hurry. And Cale Yarborough, he's finding his way up and out back. There he is, screaming through automobiles. There you see him going by Rusty Wallace, former Midwestern champion, getting trapped. He's caught in there. That's Ricky Rudd directly in front of him in car number 2. And for a moment, 28 has no place to go.
That was Mark Martin in car number 2, who trapped Cale Yarborough, who had a fantastic crash here early on in the week. After
Trouble in the trioval. We have a car losing an engine. Car number 46 coming unglued. Travis Tiller's car coming into the trioval. Slowing down, and does it bring out a caution? It does not, at least to the moment. Track is clear. He's on the inside. It's Bodine in front, Petty in second.
with a tremendous lead in the third spot. Neil Bonnet, who's running completely on his own, so therefore with no draft, he can only slip backwards unless he's got a lot of horsepower. And then behind him there's a tremendous jostle for 4th through 44.
Will this be the race? We had another major incident on turn number 2, and caution is out.
Two cars involved there.
Car number 58 on the inside. That is the Jerry Bowman car, and I believe the other car involved is the 61 Alan J. West. Here's another car breaking loose. That is car number 53, Tom Sneva.
Tom Sneva, the Indy driver who want to get back on the track. He spun coming to the tri-oval. I don't know what happened as they were under caution already. Unless somebody slowed up very abruptly in front of him. And
Sneva rests almost down into turn number 1, but the incident which brought out the caution is on the back straightaway. There is the Travis Tiller car, number 46, idling around the track. I was about to say, would this be the race that broke that record of Cale Yarborough in 1970 of an average speed of 183 miles per hour? But this caution terminates any hope for a record here today, and that old 1970 record has withstood its 26 challenge. Well, let's see what we can find out from this race as we look in replay at how it all began. Here's the first incident, parked now off the second turn.
There we see them spinning out of that notorious second turn. Strong wind blowing in there today. We don't know quite how it started, but we see the two cars sliding across that muddy ground. Very lucky here that they weren't turned over in that extremely soft ground. Appearing in a cloud of spray and mud and sand and sliding down.
Well, there you see the cars in the first incident. Now let's take a look and see if we can find out what happened to Tom Sneva out here.
Here we see them coming through the tri-oval. And it looks like Sneva just got his bottom wheel, the left front wheel of the car, onto the flat at the bottom of the tri-oval and just lost control.
Apparently someone slowed down in front of him, got on the binders a bit, and he still had a head of steam. So rather than take the car into somebody's trunk, he took it into the infield.
And he again was lucky he hit that road there, that service road, and it didn't upset the car, which you could have expected to do with the ground being as soft as it is. Now we see the field now all packed up behind the pace car. Too early, of course, for these guys to make a pit stop for fuel at this time, as they've still got another 100 odd miles to run.
Alan West and Jerry Bowman involved in the first incident in the second 125-mile qualifier from Daytona. All right, getting set on the restart with number 88. They have completed 9 laps, 9 of the 50 laps. Coming down to complete 10 this time, 25 miles deep. 40 laps remaining when they come by, with Jeff Bodine up in front. Second spot is Richard Petty. Maintaining the third position of the line is Neil Bonnet, while in the fourth spot is Tim Richmond, and going fifth, car number 90. That is the junior Don Levy Ford of Richard Brooks, originally out of Porterville, California. Back in the 16th position is Bobby Allison. Allison in car number 22. He's been waging orders back in as he starts the race in 23rd. Green is out. Bodine leading the pack into the first turn with Richard Petty's Pontiac right there in second place. Waiting in a Chevrolet this year. Neil Bonnet drove a Ford a year ago, and that Chevy number 75 maintaining that third position. There you see the front 5 cars as they come back to full steam. Flashing down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Bodine in front. Let's watch Bobby Allison as he continues his assault. He's already knocked down the Dick Trickle car. Here he comes after that black automobile of Rick Wilson. He is up to 15th position. He is fighting for 15th at the present time. Number 22, Allison. Bobby Allison, who's had 2 terrible crashes here. One in the Busch Clash, and then one after that in practicing for the Daytona 500. Morgan Shepherd out there in the 02. The 62 car, Rick Wilson. There's your leader, Jeff Bodine. Jeff Bodine in the lead, and here's Richard Petty taking a look at first place. Will he take a shot? He does. Petty going to first spot and going on the list. Richard Petty once again leading in his favorite track. Allison going 2 cars once again, takes down 3 more. He was 16th when the green came out after that caution period, and he continues to flood the field. Bobby Allison in car number 22. Assaulting that field from the back, trying to get a good qualifying position. Down the inside through the tri-oval and into turn number 1 and 2. Well, he's lying in Richmond making his move to third.
He's lying in 12th spot now, but he's all on his own. And there's 5 cars in the lead run. Then there's another 7 cars. Bobby Allison is following right behind that one.
Back to turn 3, the leaders. There's Bobby Allison now by himself, midway down the back straightaway. 12th position for car number 22, Allison. Leaders, turn 4. Petty, Bodine, 3rd. Richmond, 4th. 5th, Richard Brooks. Brooks with a rock that Joey Ridley had 1 year ago. 6th position is Lake Speed. Moving to 7th position is Mark Martin. 17 cars says goodbye. Sterling Marlin. Sterling Marlin on pit road. Father Cuckoo Marlin had lots. His father nearly won this race one time, 125-mile qualifier, and thought the white flag was the checkered flag and slowed up a lap early and said goodbye to that one.
Well, we see the lead 2 cars. Richard Petty leading Neil Bonnet here. They've got a bit of breathing room over the third place car. Back to third group. They're pounding them down.
Lake Speed back in 6th. Mark Martin is in 7th. Going 8th is Benny Parsons. 9th, Dale Yarborough. Here comes that second group of cars, and there you see Lake Speed leading it. Dale Yarborough in the number 28 car. Remember, he lost the car at over 200 miles an hour in qualifying for the Daytona 500. Upside down and backwards into the wall, and 4 hours later, A.J. Foyt gave him another car, and he ran it in the Clash. He's been running strong all week. The 2-time Daytona 500 winner.
There's Richard Hines, third spot.
This is a routine and planned pit stop. They have no choice in the matter here today. Allison has to charge from lap number 1 to lap number 50. As you have pointed out, he has to finish as high as he possibly can. They're changing left side rubber. They have topped off the tank. They definitely plan on going the rest of the distance now after they get out of the pits this time. Now they made a late decision. They're going to put the car up on the right side. This is a lengthy pit stop, Ken. I think it's going to be very costly for Bobby Allison and Jerry Nelson.
Allison going 1 lap down. Bobby Allison and number 22 going a lap down. 34 laps to go. 16 complete. Petty in front.
Well, that was the most extraordinary pit stop for a man like Bobby Allison and that crew, because they really just completely took a massive chance, I think, of coming in this early on the green. All it needs now is a caution, and everybody else will make their pit stop and he'll stay that lap down.
In the flash, Neil Bonner in just 20 laps came from 15th. Whoa, Petty way high in 3 and 4. And on the last lap, car number 75 made a shot down the back foot under Waltrip and won the flag. And there's Bonner just resting in second. Trouble in the back straightaway. Car number 88 has hit the wall.
That is Jeff Bodine. In a very dangerous place there, right in the middle of the back straight.
I believe that's Darrell Sage's car. Darrell Sage midway down the back straightaway. Darrell Sage's car has come to rest midway down the back straightaway, tries to get his fired, field coming by. Boy, the second turn is taking its toll out here in these twin 125-mile qualifiers.
It seems to be giving the people running from the midfield on down most of the problem. But the big problem here now is poor old Bobby Allison just had that 36-second pit stop on the green, lost a lap, and now the whole rest of the field is going to flood in here into the pit and have a regular routine stop, and Bobby Allison is going to stay 1 lap down. It was a very, very wrong shot, quite frankly, to have a stop on green in this race, quite honestly.
We'll try to get a report as to what happened. It looked like a tire might have equalized in the car. 18 laps will be complete this time by. 32 to go, 45 miles down.
And the whole field charges down pit road.
Eating time for the Elephants here. Car number 43, Petty. Let's go to the pits once again. Larry Newbert.
Position along the pit row. Petty comes to a stop. He'll take advantage of this caution flag. You see complete service being issued to Richard Petty. Ned Jarrett at the other end of pit row.
Jeff Bodine was in for a very, very quick pit stop in. We're surprised. 4 of these drivers are not changing tires. They looked at the tires on Jeff Bodine's car and sent him right on his way. Now let's back to Larry Newbert.
Well, they've already serviced the starboard side of Richard Petty's car. Now they're working on the port side. This is, believe it or not, a relatively leisure pit stop. We've got a caution flag here, and the Petty crew is taking full advantage of all these precious seconds that are being provided them at a relatively leisure pace.
Let's look at what happened to the runner from Tennessee, Darrell Sage, in number 86, as you see his car resting down on the back side of the track. Way on the right of the frame is where it begins, David.
There we see them coming off that treacherous turn 2, which has already caught out at least 4 cars. Starts to come away from the wall, grabs a handful of opposite lock, and bounces down that outside wall without collecting anybody else. Extraordinarily lucky. Maybe his hood was already coming up even when the action started. Maybe that's what made him lose, because his hood blew off before he hit him.
The Chevrolet of Darrell Sage resting midway down the backstretch here at Daytona. He had qualified at 188 miles an hour and started in the 27th position, and he will not be in the 25th annual Daytona 500. When they come by, the green will come out, and they will complete at 22 laps, 55 miles, 28 laps, 70 miles to go in the second 125-mile qualifying race for the richest stock car race in the world, the Daytona 500 25th anniversary program. Back they come to the line, and there you see on the outside, Dale Yarborough taking a shot as they line them up. Dale is on his way. as they take a bite out of number 32, Bosco Lowe, and whip by him. Up in front, there's your leader. It is Cale Yarborough, but the lead still is trying to take the lap back to Bobby Allison, and Neil Bonnet comes along with it. Oh, he just touched it. The Alabama gang. They're supposed to be friends. Bobby Allison to Neil Bonnet. That's his mentor he's running into there. Now all Bobby Allison's got to do is go around one more time and catch this on up again, and he can win this race. What Bobby Allison needs now, like he needs oxygen, of course, is another caution. While he is where he is now in front, which will give him his lap back. 6 cars in the lead draft, plus a lap car. There you see number 90, the blue car down on the inside, dropping through and trying to take up the spot. That's Richard Brooks as they head down the back straightaway. Richard Brooks trying to fight his way through with light speed, and there is Neil Bonnet, the new leader of the race, trying to put Allison a lap down. And Cale Yarborough coming up in the second spot, also underneath Bobby Allison. Remember, and Bobby Allison, number 22, is on the tail end of the lap. Now he is position back, and it's the lap of those first 2 cars. 24 laps complete, this time by 60 miles. Richard Brooks falls back a bit in the Junior Dunleavy Ford. Halfway next time by. Richard Petty still attacking. Going to come from back now after that pit stop. And Richard Petty and Tim Richmond are making a fantastic run through the field. There are the leaders. Neil Bonnet. Last win for him, the World 600, Charlotte, North Carolina, last Memorial Day when he drove the Woodrow. Now with the Warner Hodgson Raylock team. There's Richard Petty running by his motion for a moment, trying to find somebody to whip on. He finds there's Richmond coming into the picture just behind Richard Petty, although Richard Petty's put him in the daylight between himself and Richmond. Petty is closing on Rick Wilson in Florida. So they go back into turn number 1. Halfway, as you saw in the event. Leader is Neil Bonnet. 0-2, Dick Trickle, the great Midwestern driver, has just fitted his car. The action is on the back straightaway. It's Bonnet in front, Cale Yarborough in second. Lodine having to go down the outside there, on the inside rather. Takes away third spot. That's as far as he can go. And here comes Petty closing up. Petty closes on number 62, Rick Wilson, directly in front of him. And car number 72, Rusty Wallace, the Midwesterner. Here are the leaders once again. Back in the trial, 26 left. 24 to go. Bonnet in front. Dick Brooks, after a year's layoff, is hanging on very well to that lead group in the Junior Dunleavy Ford. Richard Petty going after Richard Petty, number 43, going after Rusty Wallace and the 72 and the 62 car of Rick Wilson. 0-2, came back on the track. Dick Trickle, you see him there, being lapped by the front 5. Black flag, they say, confrontation flag maybe coming out. We've got another terrible crash. A serious crash again, and turn number 2 has claimed another victim, and there are still cars spinning and crashing. Car number 51 being torn up was Lenny Pond of Ettrick, Virginia. Back to the line they come with car number 75. Bonnet leading it to the back to the line as they race to the flag. What a bad break for Lenny Pond. If he had any luck at all, it would be bad. And another car destroyed. It's the 72 car of Rusty Wallace, who had been running right there in front of Richard Petty. Right in front. And Wallace's car was the Easter Seals car, entered by the Ramada Inn people for this event. Part of a campaign, a special campaign to raise money for Easter Seals. Rusty Wallace twice was the United States Auto Club champion, and Rusty's car looks absolutely destroyed, as bad as the earlier incident. And I think we're going to have an opportunity to see exactly what happened here. And they say that the initial reports are that it has been a very, very hard crash on Rusty Wallace. And here's still another car losing control well out down here on pit road, just pulled across the grass and came in. Car number 69, which is Mike Kempton. Rusty Wallace, handsome kid out of the Midwest. And let's look at exactly what happened here. Now there you see Wallace in the 72, Rick Bartow right behind him, and Richard Petty next. They're out of turn 2. Is there contact? Car starts to drift and go away. He may have been collected by Rick Wilson.
He just got tagged at the back there. The windscreen pops out there. Richard Petty just misses it.
Windshield comes out of the car.
As it goes backwards, it lifts the back of the car up.
And he's floating backwards through the air, similar to what we saw Johnny Anderson do a few years ago.
And also Connie Saylor. What happens is, of course, these cars have quite a bit of rake from the front. They're much lower at the front than the back. And when it turned round and went down the road backwards, the air got under the air gets under the trunk and just lifted it up.
Now from another angle, here is another angle of what happened. You can see him sliding in and getting caught and flipping backwards, upside down, and then those hard, nasty, sidewinding rolls that bite you.
Well, the car just suddenly did a complete reverse roll there. It's spinning one way, and it suddenly stops and reverse spins.
Now let's take a look at the second incident which happened, which involved Lenny Pond in the car number 51. And car number 42, I believe, is involved in this. Slick Johnson's car.
I think this is all as a result of that first crash, of course, taking avoiding action and right into Lenny Pond's door. Thank goodness these NASCAR cars are constructed the way they are, with the door bars. They're built extremely strongly, these cars. In most forms of racing, if you were hit in the door like that, it would be extremely serious.
Second serious incident of the 125-mile qualifying races. We are still waiting for a hospital report on Bruce Jacoby, who crashed in the first 125-mile place in almost the identical spot where number 72 has come to rest. The latest word we have from the Halifax Hospital in Daytona Beach is that Bruce Jacoby is in critical condition and is undergoing surgery at this time. Undergoing tests is the late word we have. Waiting now for any word on Rusty Wallace after a similar incident coming out of turn number 2. Just playing victim after victim in these twin 125-mile qualifying races. Neil Bonnet continues to lead. Cale Yarborough second, Bodine in third. Brooks is fourth. The qualifying race at the Daytona Speedway. And as you can see, the back straightaway takes on the complexion of a battlefield. Take a look at what just happened here moments ago to bring out the caution which we are now under. That is Rusty Wallace directly in front of Rick Wilson. It looks like Wilson is in contact. The Wallace car gets sideways. Richard Petty is right there. And he threads the needle. He just barely gets through.
The windscreen pops out of Rusty Wallace's car there. He gets behind the scoreboard, hits the grass. The car lifts a little bit, the air gets under it, and it's just like a 4,000-pound leaf being blown down with a 200-mile-an-hour air as it gets under the car and gyrates through that soft ground.
From the other angle now, you see the car just getting inside and then taking that awful roll the wrong way as the wind caught it, and then sends it into that series of sidewinders that gives us this will remain.
And this, of course, set off a chain reaction with a car swerving to avoid him there. Lenny Pond trying to avoid him being T-boned. Very lucky there that he wasn't injured at all.
One of the two drivers involved in that second shot are standing by, and let's go to Ned Jarrett with him now.
Slick Johnson from Florence, South Carolina, the car number 51. Slick, what happened with it?
Rusty Wallace, something was tearing up on his car, it blew the engine or something, and the hood flew off or either the roof, and it started coming down in front of Lenny, and Lenny got on the brake to keep it from hitting him, and he turned sideways and went into the wall, and I hit Lenny.
But you and Lenny, of course, are okay.
Yeah, both of us are all right.
And Ken, we're standing by the track hospital once again here. They have taken Rusty into the hospital here for observation, and as you saw, his car was damaged very, very badly, and we hope the report will be good on him. He was here for a good cause to run in the Daytona 500. Proceeds from a special promotion would go to the Easter Seals. His sponsor, Ramada Inns, were participating in that. Now back to you.
Rusty Wallace was here a year ago with his 37th engine failure. Rusty Wallace, a driver who Roger Penske has been very, very high on. In fact, he ran Atlanta for him and did a nice job a few years back. We are back under green. There are 33 laps now complete in the second 125-mile qualifier. 82.5 miles are down, and Neil Bonnet finds himself on the front end of that freight train going down that very, very persnickety back straightaway today. It has really taken a lot out of this field and out of the first 125-mile qualifier. There you see Cale Yarborough running second, Bodine in third, and it is a replay of the start with 7th moves Richard Petty. Petty had been 20th on the restart after that first caution period. They have one car running slowly down the inside of the track and looks like it will be a retiree.
Richard Petty there following Tom Seaver, the IndyCar driver who had an incident here earlier on when he got on some oil.
Back with the leaders. Backstretch, Bonnet in front. Dale Yarborough right there knocking on the door. There is your leader, Neil Bonnet. He is as brave and as determined a race driver as there is, and here comes Petty. Richard Petty, the 7-time champion, out of the inside, putting Bobby Allison the lap down.
And right behind Richard Petty is Benny Parsons. He started off pretty well down the field in that car number 55, also looking for a good finish in this race to make sure he gets into Daytona 500.
Desperation time. If you want to make the $1 million Daytona 500, you have to do it here. But it must be added pressure with the incidents we've seen thus far today.
Well, it can't be doing them much good. Their mentality must be going through it because every time something happens, it seems to happen up there at turn 2, and they must be getting it right. Dick Cook making a great run down the inside there, the Junior Dunleavy Ford. Old Junior will be chomping on his cigar in the pit there, getting quite excited, I imagine, to say. With Richard Petty high there.
Petty got money outside the fourth as Richard Brooks lost the draft and fell back. 14 laps to go this time. And here comes Petty. Crowd on their feet as the all-time king of Daytona, Richard Petty, winner of 195 Grand National races. Second to none. Moves his way through the field. 41 races without a win. Will he change it here? Petty moves the Pontiac into third. Chevrolet now running 1 and 2.
That car of Richard Petty is proving to be particularly competitive this afternoon.
On the inside, Petty going for first. Petty goes under Dale Yarborough. Goes under Neil Bonnet. And Richard Petty sails the number 43 out into the lead. Richard Petty, who will square off the battle of his own son, the Daytona 500. He can keep it all together here. Goes back into turn number 1. Bonnet takes a look at the inside. Richard Petty, the amazing, the incredible race driver that he is, and one of the finest people in the sport of motor racing. On the back straightaway. Trouble in turn 1. Car spinning, number 19 out of control, landing down to the inside is Ronnie Sanders. That car was scheduled for Dick Payne's start. They made a substitution. Ronnie Sanders getting a thrill of his life. Okay. Caution is out again. Race back to the stripe. Here they come to the line. Charging back under caution. Petty will come across first. Bonnet in second. Yarborough third. Modine in fourth. Richard Brooks in fifth.
Bobby Allison could do one of those cautions to come out at a slightly more fortuitous moment for him to get that lead, that lap back that he's already lost.
1 year ago, everything went for Bobby Allison correctly. This year, absolutely nothing going right for him. Some days are diamonds, some days are stone. Let's look at what happened to Ronnie Sanders here.
Well, he was one of the lucky ones today. He hits that soft ground, and the car just continues to spin, slides across the very soft infield, hits the road racing track, just bounces over it and carries on spinning, and nothing happens to the car or to him, luckily. And that just seems to be the luck of the draw in motor racing. Sometimes it's your day, like you said before, that Bobby Allison, sometimes it's not.
Ronnie Sanders' Buick coming to rest. That must bother a little, though, that it is the luck of the draw so many times by which a race and sometimes your life can be decided.
Well, I suppose if you really thought about it too much, it wouldn't be very good for you, but luckily most drivers tend to think that obviously like soldiers and policemen, it's never going to happen to them, and once you start to think about it, it's going to be finished. Into the pits comes Tim Richmond, number 27. His second stop. He must have a problem. The car doesn't need a stop at this stage of the race, putting the gas on.
So Richard Petty is out in front in one of the 125-mile qualifying races here today. The question is, can he stay there to the finish? 10 laps remain in the second 125-mile qualifier here at Daytona. A wreck-strewn day. Black and caution has just been given to one of the cars on the track. And let's look again at that war zone that has become this racetrack today. There you see the remains of the car number 72, which was just destroyed in a horrific crash.
It's very rare that you see these NASCAR cars torn up as badly as that car, and also Bruce Jacoby's car earlier on today. They're so strong.
But note how the roll cage is still fully up on car number 72.
The worst thing that happened to that car was that as it started to spin, it spun one way because of the air. As soon as it hit the floor, it reversed the rotation of the spin.
Jeanette Jarrett.
Ken, we're still standing by the hospital to get a report on Rusty Wallace, and one of his crew members just came out and said that Rusty has been moving around a little bit, and he was very muddy when they brought him in, and they're cleaning him up now, but he actually has been talking a little bit, so that is good news to this point, and we hope to have further good news later on.
Well, that is good news. That's really nice to hear, and again, it just demonstrates the incredible integrity of these NASCAR rules. The way these cars are built, I mean, they race extremely high speeds, and they get away with, you know, unbelievable crashes.
Here they come with 7 laps to go. Petty is in front. Here's Bobby Hillen trying to qualify. 18 years old out of Midland, Texas. He's on the bubble right now. He's given up a college scholarship in football to try to make it. And there goes Tim Richmond taking him out of the race for the moment. Dale Yarborough down, putting that lap on Bobby Allison. He wants to go up and hunt for first place. Richard Petty in the lead. Pontiac first, Chevrolet second, Chevrolet third. Fourth at the present time is the 88 car of Bodine, and the first running fifth on the field. Front 3 cars getting a little bit of a break, about 20 car lengths. Back to the next competitor in that active lap.
Well, the front 4 cars really have made a bit of a break. They're all staying in line, and then the next 4 cars are running down side by side, and they'll just continue to lose airspace as they do that. Because they lose the draft so badly. When they get back in line, they can forget it.
And they come by, 5 laps to go. They'll be completing the 45th this time by. Just right. Rick Wilson saying goodbye to this race. Number 62, nearly involved in that incident with Rusty Wallace. Turn 2. Richard Petty stares down. There's that second package running side by side and letting the leaders get away from them.
Jeff Bodine is leading that second pack. He started off on the front row of this particular race, and he's been hounded down by Mark Martin, who started in 11th spot, so he's done very well for himself today. Had a bad qualifying speed, or not a very good one, so he wants to stay right where he is.
Dale Yarborough scampers down the inside, goes under the lap car of Bobby Allison, goes for number 75, can't make it, falls back. And he'll single file it once again down the front straightaway. Better than 190 miles per hour through here. They make it look so easy. These, the masters of this incredibly quick, sometimes slightly dangerous game. Petty in front. Let's take a look at that second pack.
Richard Brooks has worked his way up to the front of that again, followed by Mark Martin. Jeff Bodine's dropped the 3rd spot in there, but that makes him 7th overall, but he's still good for the race.
There's that second pack as you see the interval between the first group and the second group.
It's about 2 seconds.
Watching those leaders down into the turn. Bonnet loves to pass going into 3. He just puts his foot on the floor and flat puts it in there. Let's see if that'll be the strategy. Waltrip tried to hold him before, and he had his problems there. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
We're standing by with Maurice Petty, brother of Richard. Maurice, he's out front now. Will he try to stay there, or will he try to drop back and try to slingshot on the last lap?
No, we're going to try to stay out front all the way. If they get by us, it'll be because they just flat out run us.
That's the way it is here in the Petty pit, Ken.
Time and laps and effort all running out. Now this is the spot. Bonnet loves it. I doubt that Petty will give it to him. There's that little hole on the inside, and you heard one of his crew members say they had a problem making the car handle now, and if he can't drop inside, he drops down inside, and then he wrestled with Darrell Waltrip for the Busch Clash lead. Let's see what will happen here. There is Cale beginning to climb the outside. And there's the block thrown by Bonnet.
Well, of course, the other thing you've got to remember is that when these guys go for the gap, you've always got to assume the guy behind you hasn't already filled that gap up. And Cale Yarborough there, number 28, is lurking in 3rd spot. So it's not going to be easy for Neil guys have been my incredibly competitive people, and it's not going to be easy for him to just pick his spot. Cale Yarborough is back trying to block him off there, but drops back into line. This is where you have to grind defensively as well as offensively. You've got to look out for that man behind you, and you've got to shoot down the guy in front of you. Richard taking a low line going in there to keep Neil Bonnet back. Letting the car come up high so it doesn't tighten up too much as he comes into the triangle for the last time. This will be the one lap to go. The white flag is out. The man that they could be in control here is Cale Yarborough. He can take his shot. Where will he want it to and how will he run it? When Terry Labonte came from third, Waltrip was moved up when Bonnet took the lead, and Waltrip in the clash gave Terry Labonte nothing but the concrete on the outside of 3 and 4. Last time, down into 3. This is where Bonnet likes to make his move. He stirs up his fortitude, and he makes the dive to the inside. Bonnet finds the hole. He goes into first place. At nearly 200 miles an hour, they take that shot. Neil Bonnet is in front. Richard Petty is in second. Cale Yarborough is in third. Here they come to line. Richard Petty is coming back on the outside. It is Yarborough on the inside, but the winner is Bonnet. And there is a spin just at the end. Bobby Hillin spun just at the end of the event. Bobby Hillin, fortunate that it is nothing more than just a spin. What a remarkable finish. 3 cars side by side across the line. And Neil Bonnet continues to wrestle number 75 across by inches here on the Daytona Speedway in 1983. Let's look at this incredible photo finish in this 125-mile qualifier. And I'm sure that lap car you see at the top of the picture there, in fact, spoiled Cale Yarborough's final plan. He had to go at Richard Petty, but it didn't quite come off. Neil Bonnet won the race. Richard Petty just half a door length behind him. Cale Yarborough right there with him. But I think Cale's plans were foiled just at that last inch by that lap car. Wait till Sunday. That's what Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough are saying right now. Magnificent maneuver. They said there was a handling problem, and that's right when you don't want to have a handling problem, going down into turn number 3, because that's where you want everything working perfectly to get you through there if you want to shoot your shot. So Neil Bonnet has won the second 125-mile qualifier and becomes a serious, serious favorite to win Sunday's Daytona 500. Mark. Bobby Allison credited with 17th. He'll have to stand on his time for the Daytona 500. But standing tall in Victory Lane, one of the members of the Alabama gang, as tough a race driver as that racing state has ever produced, Neil Bonnet brings the Warner Hodgson Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS back to Victory Lane at Daytona for the second time in a week, and Ned Jarrett is standing by to have a conversation with this young man who has continued to amaze everyone with his strength, his courage, his tenacity, and his smarts in a race car. Having a little trouble unhitching. That's been the only problem he's had thus far today. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Well, Neil Bonnet, he got into the act in and had no problem in getting that window screen unfastened. He gets his driving gloves off now. He already has the safety belt and the shoulder harness unfastened. Now his helmet comes off. Of course, being in Victory Lane here at the Daytona International Speedway twice within the last 4 days, significant amount of money, $50,000 in the Busch Clash, and now $18,000 here today. He waves to the crowd and gets a big handshake, big hand from the folks here in Victory Lane. Neil, congratulations.
Ned, I tell you what, these boys, Barbara Hilly, Butch Mott, and Jake Elder, Warner Hodgson, them put out some effort with this race car, and it's showing up right now. The car just runs super. I was sitting there leading the race. I knew I couldn't win the race in the lead, so I had to back the whole pace. I had to slow the whole line of cars down. I saw Richard coming. I felt like that's the man I need to be following because he's going to the front.
Well, you got that thing down pat now, that last lap deal.
Well, I'm going to try one from the front next time. I believe this thing will do it from the front, but I just wanted to be careful.
Well, Neil, these Chevrolets with that slope front end on it, apparently they're handling well, better than you expected maybe when you came to Daytona.
Ned, I tell you what, the Chevrolet people did one heck of a job with this race car, but I'm a little loose in the corner right now. When I was leading the race there, I was a little bit loose. We're going to have to do a little bit more work, you know,